Hello there and welcome to the final round of the SBR Megane Series Trophy, brought to you in association with PJ Parcels. Thank you very much, guys, for the sponsorship. Let's take a look at the grid for this final race. We've got Andy on pole, from Mark, from Brian, then Jamie, Ryan, Luke, Nick, James, Ollie, Phil, and we've got Jordan, Matt and Finley at the rear of the field. Matt unfortunately not able to finish race one and Finley missing out. So let's take a look at the highlights here. We have the lights are on and away. Very quick change there for us. Jamie blasting away nice and quickly. Oddly, we've got the standing start here. Enough room down into turn number one, the stewards believe. So we go for the grid start rather than the rolling start as per normal. Jamie leading now with that inside line into turn number one. He's off and into the lead. It looks like Mark in second. James looks like he's had a blinding start and is already up to into second. And Ollie's followed him up into third. Blimey, what a start by these two from the rear of the field. And Matt looking like he's going into fourth place as well there. Fantastic start for Matt from the very back of the grid. It's all mayhem now into the hairpin there, and Jordan's been taken out, our race one winner. Taken out there by contact through the middle of the pack, unfortunately. We go to the front of the field and we see obviously Jamie in the lead, but coming under huge pressure already from James, who's looking to round out the season with victory. But he's already under pressure from Ollie nice and early. These two were inseparable in race one. It looks like they're going to be inseparable in race two. Matt coming under pressure from Luke. And now Mark coming under pressure from Phil as well. There's battles all the way through this field nice and early. We see a three-way battle now for the lead. James, Jamie and Ollie. Can Jamie hold on that little bit longer? He's going to take the tighter line into turn number two. That's going to hold James up a little bit on exit, and sure enough, Ollie takes advantage, and he's going to try and slide one up the inside of Jamie as well. Jamie's out wide, puts the power down nice and early, but it gives him that chance to keep the inside line. But Ollie's already ahead, and James is going to go up the inside of the two of them. Ollie out wide onto the grass after contact with James and Jamie. That's Matt now up into second place, taking huge advantage. He's gone from the back of the field to second, and is it going to be first? Almost. He thought about it and then backed out the move. In a lap and a half, he's gone from the rear of the field to the front. And now Luke taking advantage of Jamie being that little bit wide there in the double turn. And Luke's going to go up into third place. James now under pressure from Matt as he's put another lap in the books and come up round the hairpin. They've clearing the field that little bit, giving themselves a little bit of breathing space over third place. Luke, who's massively under pressure now from Ollie in fourth, as Luke puts all four wheels on the grass. I was going to say two, but he just carried on out even further, and that's put him into a battle there with Phil, and they both touch as Phil bounces off the wall there. That's put Luke down into fifth, and now Ryan up past him on the start-finish straight, and that's put him into sixth place. Luke's going to tuck back in for the slipstream behind Ryan, and Brian just behind him there, trying to take even more of an advantage. He gets the double slipstream. He tries to stay a little bit lower, and then decides better of it and sits back that little bit. And now Luke out wide onto the grass, unfortunately, and that's going to give Nick a run. Oh, Nick just can't take an avoiding action quick enough. Puts one up the back of Luke. Luke runs out wide, almost knowing something went wrong there. That's cost him a position to Nick, and possibly Finley, who we see for the first time this round, unfortunately missing out from race number one. As we see Mark battling along with Jordan there, just behind Finley and Luke. Luke's looking like he's going to challenge Finley going into the left-hand corner. We cut a little bit further along. Jamie having a look at Jordan. Mark battling hard to keep the two of them behind him. Jamie up the inside of Jordan after Jordan's bad start, getting taken out in the early section. Jordan's going to sit in behind and get that slipstream as Luke does the same to Finley. You can see Brian up ahead battling along with Nick as well, trying to do the same thing. As Luke goes up the inside of Finley nice and early. Slight touch there, but there's room for the two of them on the exit, and Luke does get that position away from Finley, and he's now going to set his sights on Brian. As we see Finley now coming round the rest of them battling away. We go back to the front, and James again battling hard with Matt. He's just about keeping himself ahead, taking massive pressure from Matt. This is Matt's last race of the series. He unfortunately goes back to real-time racing, real-world racing after this with the easing of lockdown. It's been a pleasure having him driving along with us, and Matt still looking for that first victory. He smells it coming here into the final race of the season. He's in that slipstream. He's almost pushing James along the start and finish straight here. He decides to stick in that slipstream towards the breaking point of turn number 2. He thinks about it. He dives back in, thinks better of it. Now Ollie and Phil battling for 3rd and 4th. Phil diving one up the inside of Ollie and taking that position away. Ollie cuts back that little bit, but Phil's going to have the inside line for turn number 6 of the circuit. And now Luke has caught Brian on that start-finish straight. He's in the slipstream, he's out of the slipstream, he's down on the inside line for turn number 1, and sure enough, he's going to have that position off of Brian. Brian's not going to give it up easy. He's going to battle him right the way around the outside if he can. But unfortunately, he has to succumb, and sure enough, Luke takes that position. He's going to have his sights set firmly on Nick now as they battle for that 5th spot in the league. And now Mark in the slipstream of Jamie there, going to the inside, and he's going to take the position back off of Jamie by the looks of it. A slight touch in the middle of turn number 1, but Mark does get that position off of Jamie. Last of the late breakers, but unfortunately he's a little bit slow on the exit. That little twitch under acceleration. Jamie's back up the inside and has the position back off of Mark. These two are going to battle it out for the rest of the race by the looks of it. And sure enough, Luke has caught Nick, who has caught his best friend Ryan in this series by the looks of it. And sure enough, those two are battling together. Luke's up the inside of Nick and is going to separate the two of them for the time being. Nick will be quite happy to sit behind Luke. He's got a little bit of a buffer of 3 points going into this round. And sure enough, sitting just behind Luke will be enough for that 5th place in the championship. As Phil has now caught Matt up, as James seems to have disappeared that little bit. Matt's suffering a little bit with tyre wear in the latter stages, as James has disappeared. Now Matt's coming into under a bit of pressure here from Phil, who's all over the rear bumper, looking every possible way he can to get past. As we go back and see Luke now putting pressure on Ryan, Nick in that driver's seat, just behind the two of them, waiting, hoping for them to make a bit of contact and he can pick up the pieces. We go back to the battle for 2nd place, and Phil has been joined by Ollie in the battle for 2nd. Phil's up the inside of Matt nice and early, and that's opened the door for Ollie as well. Ollie's going to try and keep it on the inside, but Matt's going to have the slipstream from Phil down the start-finish straight, and that's just going to allow him to pull that little bit further ahead. But sure enough, Ollie's going to have that inside line into turn number 1. He dives back into the slipstream. Let's try and make sure he has that chance of taking the position, but no, he decides against it, decides to sit back that little bit, and Matt's a little bit loose on the brakes into turn number 2, and that's going to give Ollie the chance, sure enough, to run up the inside, take the position away. We go back and we see the battle behind these guys, and Ryan and Luke battling away. Luke a little bit too much over the curb there. He's going to pick up a small time penalty there. Both of them, Ryan and Luke, side by side. Luke serves his penalty. Doesn't know which way to go with Nick coming along, but that does cost Luke a lot of time. Unfortunately, he's going to drop him back into the clutches of Jordan by the looks of it. By the time they get to the end of this straight, Jordan's going to have had the extra speed down into turn number 1, the bank curve, and sure enough, Jordan's there on the rear bumper of Luke. Can he do anything about it early? Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it, but he's got the inside line. Can he break that a little bit later? He does, and he gets the position off of Luke round the inside line on the double corner. As we go back and we see Nick and Ryan battling yet again, a little bit of a distance between the two of them. All Nick's got to do is keep it pointing in I don't believe it. I've said it at the wrong time. I was just about to say keep it in a straight line and he'll get that 5th place. He spins out and goes towards the back of the field. Luke would have been happy seeing Nick recovering as he came back, battling away with Jordan yet again. He's got the inside line onto the start-finish straight. He takes a less harsh entrance onto the straight. Doesn't seem to get affected by the banking, but it does give Jordan that extra run down the start-finish straight. Luke pulls back up into the slipstream as they go over the start-finish line. and Jordan's going to hold on to that position. Luke would be very well advised to just sit in and help let Jordan take him back up towards Ryan and the top guys ahead. But he went for it up the inside there and lost a bit of time, unfortunately, to Jordan. We go back to the battle for second place, and Phil and Ollie battling yet again together as they were in race number 1. Matt there looking on from a distance slightly behind in 4th place. You can just see in the distance Ryan and Jordan and Luke coming into the start-finish straight, and sure enough, Phil holding off Ollie yet again. He's going to look for some decent points haul. The recovering Nick now coming onto the start-finish straight, battling along with Finley, and Nick tries to recover some points for that battle of 5th place in the championship. He tucks into the slipstream of Finley. Down the start-finish straight, he pulls out his intention nice and early into the low into turn number 1. He gets ahead of Finley into the braking zone for turn number 2, both on the brakes at the same time, and sure enough, that's got to be Nick's position. Finley a little bit loose on the exit, Nick making sure he's giving Finley enough room, and he'll get the move completed into turn number 3 and 4. Sure enough, well ahead as we go back to the battle for second place, and Ollie all over the rear end of Phil. Now they actually seem to be catching James that little bit. His tyre wear coming into play a little bit for James and helping Phil and Ollie, who might have been a little bit lighter on the tyres, as Phil goes wide, a little bit loose on the grass, and that's given Ollie the chance to get up into second place. As just putting those 2 wheels, we've seen it many times throughout this round here at Blue Moon. Putting those 2 wheels on the grass can really cost you a bit of momentum, and it has cost Phil, unfortunately, here, losing almost half a second there, it looks like, to Phil. Losing half a second to Ollie, but that slipstream playing dividends massively for Phil there. Down the start-finish straight, pulling to the inside for turn number 1, and he's going to get that place back within a few corners off of Ollie. Something going awry coming onto the start-finish straight, but Phil will be more than happy to be back up into second place. Matt seems to have disappeared from 4th place and is dropping back into the clutches maybe of 5th. Ollie tries to go up the inside, but it's going to put him on the outside line for the hairpin on the infield section here. And Phil just secures that place that little bit more, with Ollie now in 3rd place. Can Ollie build a challenge? We see Ryan and Luke battling away with Jordan, who's now ahead of the 2 of them. And sure enough, Ryan succumbing to Luke that little bit here, but he's going to try and mount a bit more of a challenge now coming towards the end of the lap. He's obviously waiting patiently. Luke's recovered very, very well, as has Jordan from the lap 1 incidents. Luke putting 2 wheels onto the grass, but not seeming to lose too much momentum that time. Ryan just kissing the wall coming onto the back stretch of the speedway, as Jordan now seems to be doing very well. As I say that, he runs out wide, just kisses the barrier, takes the marker board out, and that's going to drop him into the clutches of Luke that little bit. Sure enough, the dirty tyres causing Jordan to run deep into the double right-hander there of turns 3 and 4, and that's really put the pressure by Luke onto him. But Luke's made a mistake coming out of the hairpin. He's sideways that little bit, and Ryan's going to try and seize the opportunity and pounce on Luke coming into the very late stages of the race. He's trying to go up the inside. Slight push on Luke, puts 2 wheels on the grass. They're still side by side as come onto the rear section of the speedway. The kiss between the 2, that puts Ryan in the ball. Luke decides, no, that might have been my fault. The Strids might look unkindly, so he gives the place back to Ryan. We cut to the front end, and James is celebrating early, almost too aggressively, as he's almost sideways. He takes victory from Phil, from Ollie. And then in 4th place is Matt, who was really struggling with the tyres, but done well to recover and keep himself in 4th place there. Jordan recovering from that lap 1 incident and getting 5th. Ryan and Luke across the line almost together, as we see Brian coming along behind those. And is that Nick and Finley coming across the line now? Fantastic season for everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys, to commentate on the races. As we have a look at Mark now coming across the line for the final time, and that will bring the season to a close. Let's take a look at the results, and we did have James win from Phil, from Ollie, from Matt, from Jordan, and Ryan again in 6th place. 7th was Luke, 8th was Brian, 9th was Nick, then Finley, Jamie, Mark, and Andy at the rear. Let's take a look at the final standings of the championship, and our winner is Ollie from Jordan by 12 points, then James, Ryan, Nick getting that 5th place from Luke, and Phil in 7th. 8th place was Jamie, 9th was Brian, 10th Matt, 11th Russell, who unfortunately missed a few rounds. We thank you very much for watching. We cannot thank you enough, and we look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks for Season 4.